For more on the pandemic in the United States, let's turn to Dr. Eric George, who's in Louisiana, of course, one of America's hotspots. He's no stranger to disasters. He was there in 2017 as Hurricane Katrina claimed more than 1,200 lives. Dr. George, we heard one doctor from Louisiana describe it as a train crash in slow motion, not much you can do about it. Give us your sense of what you're seeing and what it's been like.
Well, Mike, I think that's a really great summary. Or another analogy might be like in Katrina when you saw the storm out in the water and you knew it was coming. That's how I see it here. We really have a hot spot down here. We've had over 4,000 cases, 200 deaths, and we're running into the problems that you just talked about and everyone's aware of, and that's lots of PPE need, lots of ventilator need, and a lot of patients, more than we can handle.
We're looking at you. It looks like you've got kind of the traditional garb we would expect, but how are supplies holding up? I mean, we just had a story from Hendricks of Brandy, people with their sewing machines trying to come up with masks for folks like yourself. I mean, that's not what you want to see. It's not ideal.
It is not ideal, and you know, we have some really dedicated healthcare workers that are in there plugging away and working day and night. The problem is we've learned how to take some of our 95 masks and clean them, or there's some new techniques now with hydrogen peroxide because we're so short on some of those conditions. We're short on gowns, so we've even started putting our names on some of our equipment so that we can come back and have it cleaned and start over. But yeah, it's a tough problem, and here the highest per capita death rate right here now because, you know, we've tested a lot of people, but as you've seen, it's a tough problem, and I think it's going to get harder.
And how does this compare with Katrina and other issues that you've had to deal with in the past?
Well, you know, I think one of the best analogies, when Katrina happened, it only happened to this region, and there was so much help from all around the country. You know, more than ever, we need the we mentality and not the me mentality, and so many different states and so many places all over the world came in to help us. And now every single state has the same problem we have, and it's just a matter of time when it gets to that.
And Eric, you know, the difference between Katrina and a pandemic is, you know, the patient comes in, you work on them. There's no sense that whatever they have is also, you might be transferred to you as well. I mean, the potential is there that you can catch the virus. So talk to me about that, and what type of toll does that take on healthcare providers?
I think, as some of your people have said, and as you've talked about, it's really scary. I mean, we committed, all of us in healthcare, to take care of the patient first. We do our best to protect ourselves, but of course we all have loved ones in our family that we're making sure that we don't infect them. I think testing is the key. I think once we know who's positive and who's not, that sure helps matters. We try to protect ourselves the best we know how, but it's a scary problem. And as you know, this is a silent killer, and it's an enemy that we've never fought before. I mean, it's a war on all fronts, and the virus doesn't play favorites. It goes after anybody in any race, color, and creed, and we're sure seeing that.
Eric, you know, I spent an evening with an ER doctor, and they talked about bouncing from somebody who dies there and then going to somebody with a broken finger, that's kind of the life of an ER doctor, and you just have to move from patient to patient. But in this case, it's a lot of cases of people actually dying, and you have to absorb that. Talk to me about the mental toll of all of this.
Well, I think it's got an extra special mental toll, and that is that as soon as the family member comes in and they're short of breath and there's difficulty breathing and they have a 102 temperature, they're immunocompromised, we know right away the pattern of what's going to happen, and we start with intubation and we put them on the ventilator, and statistically that patient probably won't come off. What's really sad, Mike, is that there's no family member that can come with them. So that adds, they're not holding the hand of their loved one as they pass, but they're holding the hand of a nurse who has 3 pairs of gloves on and a mask. And that's very painful. And so, you know, we're trying to do our best to be compassionate. We're trying to do our best to do the best we can for our patients. But this is truly a pandemic like nothing else we've seen.
Well, take good care of yourself, and thanks to you and your colleagues.
Thank you for having me, and appreciate everyone's support out there for everyone that's pitching in.